Okay, so this is my audience. There's 4 there and 1 here. Okay. Okay, so I'm giving my speech on Ronald Reagan, and many may argue that he is possibly one of the best presidents this country has ever seen. He's considered the great communicator by many, and he's the 40th president of the United States. And many may say that he learned from specific presidents in the past, early years before him, and he actually is one of the more popular conservative presidents that have ever served in the office. So I personally have really grown fond of the policies that Ronald Reagan put in place, and I also grew fond of everything that he's done as far as education and the military and things that he put forth before other conservative presidents have came in office. So he was one of the original conservative presidents that has ever served. And it's really unique because he's not one of the more politically involved presidents that has ever ran for president. He actually grew up and he decided, I want to be an actor. So Ronald Reagan was an actor for a couple of years, and it's incredibly shocking to me that one of our most successful presidents has a little to no experience in politics at all. So I like to compare it to Donald Trump. I don't think he's the greatest president ever at all, but I do think it's unique because he is one of the very few presidents that has had any political experience before this. He was more of a businessman, and he has promised to apply his business skills towards bringing the country out of debt. Unfortunately, Ronald Reagan actually put the country in very huge amounts of debt. It was shocking, and it was a little upsetting for the Republican Party, but he did a lot of other things that were unique that I think benefited the country in a lot of unique ways. He actually went to Eureka College, and he went for arts, and so he went, and then he actually went into acting after that. And so about 10 years after he was an actor, he decided that he wanted to get into politics, and he paid a little bit more attention, and he studied. He didn't ever go back to college for politics, so he never got any type of degree in politics or government. He is, I think his story is very unique, and he went from 1981 to 1989. He did a few of things that were actually not very popular at the time, and so it was right after the Great Depression and everything, so a lot of people were really hurt and they were suffering, so they were looking for some great reform, and he promised to bring it about, and so he definitely did his best. I think as far as debt goes, it wasn't the best, but as far as bringing people together, it was a lot. And so I analyzed his speech that he gave at the Berlin Wall when he was proposing to tear down the Berlin Wall. And he basically would explain to the people of Berlin that this wall signifies a barrier that mankind has, and we seek to look for freedom in life. And he says that every president before him has also visited Berlin, and he continues to do so simply because he thinks that no matter what country you come from, no matter the background, no matter political views, he thinks that all mankind should seek freedom. And so that's one thing that a lot of people were interested in hearing from him, of course, because he's not a typical president that has gone through the hardcore, vicious process of politics. So the people of Berlin were very welcoming, and they did enjoy his words. And so I think his speech that he gave that day was very convincing, and it gave insight to the people of Berlin that nobody else would have thought to hear from the President of the United States at the time, especially for before Ronald Reagan was in office. The Soviet Union was something that wasn't too excited to be involved with the United States. I know Ronald Reagan was very concerned with communism, and so that was an issue that they had brought up. But he did an amazing job in his speech at uniting the people of Berlin and the United States, and so I thought that speech was very powerful. A member of the Princeton University Press had stated that so Ronald Reagan was considered the great speaker, and he compared him to actually being the great conciliator because he's more of a persuasive person with his words. He's not known for having amazing speaking skills. It's more of the way he unites people. So he compared him to the great conciliator instead. And he also said that he approached problems with solutions from the background that he had from the Great Depression and everything like that. As a young president, he had learned things that not many other presidents had learned, and especially as a president who had zero to little any experience in politics at all. So I just thought that his speech was really amazing at that time. It was a really tough subject. Communism was definitely in the process, and it was one thing that Ronald Reagan didn't want to see continue in the United States. So he went and visited Berlin and gave these really awesome words of wisdom to the people of Berlin, and they welcomed his words, and it kind of brought a little bit of peace between the United States and the Soviet Union, especially since there was a lot of issues with communism at that time. So I think that he did an amazing job, and I think he's one of the best presidents this country has ever seen. And I really hope that I get to say something like that sometime soon. Hopefully, within the next 4 years, we get a president that we're all very proud of. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys have a great day.